So glad you are with us on Elevate Your Wealth. Brad Johansson, along with Mark Stimpson, Casey Elgis, the men at Elevated Financial Management. Nice to be with you guys. You good?
Great to see you, Brad.
Good to see you. We're really excited about this episode.
Well, that's because I'm throwing a curveball. It's three dudes here, and we're going to talk about the ladies.
Yep.
Well, we talk about the ladies a lot all the time, but this is significant because it matters. And why at Elevated Financial Management, they focus on things like this is because I want to bring up women face more financial transitions, period, than men do. I can throw out stats. Do you realize that the average widow age in America is 59 years old? So we'll deal with widowhood. Divorce is a major factor in this country. Caregiving responsibilities usually fall on the women. They probably have to make more career changes because of that. Health events, and statistically, they, 85% of the time, will end up with the money where couples are concerned. So why do we have to pay more attention, Mark, to why women matter and a financial future that isn't just like everybody else's?
Yeah, Casey and I are very excited about this right now because we're in the process of hiring our first female advisor, and we're very excited because we believe that, you mentioned it, Brad, women that may have gone through a divorce, they had maybe just lost their husband. It's, we believe, a massively underserved market, and we're very excited to get into this, and we believe having a female advisor is really going to help us. It's not that Casey and I don't have women clients, we do, but we love the feminine touch that I think a woman advisor is going to bring to our practice, and we're excited about this because the financial transitions that women have to deal with when they go through maybe an unexpected loss at maybe a time they weren't expecting it to happen, like you mentioned, caregiving. It usually falls upon the woman in the household, right? So again, these are some areas that we want to bring a service to these women that are dealing with this. And I think for many women, if you're viewing, you may feel this way, that you're not getting the service or the attention that we believe you need. So if you're watching our show today, just know that Elevated Financial Management is excited to extend the opportunity to those that are viewing, that we want you to know that you matter.
82
and that we
cents
care
on the
about
dollar,
this.
Casey. 82 cents on the dollar for women.
Yeah.
And that's a lot better than it has been for them in the working world. Is there, I don't have the statistic in front of me, how many of the couples that you're dealing with are the women handling the finances or the men are simply doing it themselves? And I've seen many to the other side of that. And yet they're still not working as a team kind of thing because this financial industry has always been perceived, and one of the myths that has been thrown out and perpetuated is that this is a man's world within that. It is not that case.
It's really not the case, and I think, especially in the Seattle area, I mean, we've got a lot of sharp women in Seattle, a lot of high-powered business women in Seattle, and we actually see a lot of women that take the lead in their relationship when it comes to the finances. But we still see a lot of men, and I think the hard part behind this really is, it isn't just about who's taking the lead, it's more so about when something does happen to whoever's taking the lead, and let's say in this circumstance it's the male that goes first, which oftentimes it is the other spouse, is the wife, is she know how to go in and pay the utility bills? Does she know where all the accounts are at? Does she have the ability to make these decisions? Because it's all going to be thrust on her in that moment when things are emotionally distressing, and now there's a lot of finances that have to be learned. And so it isn't really just about who's taking the lead, but it's about, can the other person have something in place, have a plan in place, so that when there is a disruption, because we know that there will be, when there is a disruption, that things can continue or we can pivot and we already know what we're going to do because that was part of the retirement plan in the first place. And oftentimes we see that is what's missing.
I want to put this up because these are the things that you build, and we're always trying to use tools for you that are going to make it a little bit easier. EFMriskquiz.com. What does this do for me? You scan the QR code. The idea is, okay, have I brought this up with my partner to know where we are? What are the questions that I should be asking? What is my risk level where I am at? Am I ready to retire? And what level am I working on? You scan the QR code, very user-friendly to make this really easy for you to say, I probably need a second opinion. In adjusting all of this, Mark, and you say, okay, this is the first time that we're hiring a female to be an advisor with us, but that is moving forward to a spot to say, there is a level of empathy that we understand that is different in some cases that we have to understand and acknowledge with our clients.
All you'd have to do is ask my wife if I'm as empathetic as most women are. And that's why we're excited to have a female that we believe is going to be a little more empathetic than Casey and I would be. Doesn't mean we can't. But I just think Casey mentioned these disruptive events that these women are thrust upon. We work very hard. If we have a male that comes into our office and we know he's married, we don't want them to just do all the planning themselves for exactly what you said. What happens when he dies? If he's handled everything, all of a sudden the wife is thrown into a situation and they're like a fish out of water. They don't know what to do. So we always encourage that husband to make sure that the wife comes in. She becomes part of this planning process because we believe if you don't, it doesn't always work out that the husband is the last to go. Like Casey mentioned, he's usually the first to go, and we believe the wife needs to be involved. And sometimes, how many times have we had a conversation and the husband and wife are talking about certain things that maybe we're talking with them about, and the wife will look at the husband and then go, I didn't even know you felt that way, right? And some of these have been married over 40 years and they're saying this. So these are the conversations that we feel so compassionate about. We just can't have either one of the parties not kind of know what's going on.
Casey, we've talked about this in the past, that sometimes couples will work in silos. I have my strong opinions about where I'm going here, that even with Social Security that we've brought this up. How important is it to have strategies, not only that I never know you felt that way, but I never knew that you were working towards this, because if we're doing that, we probably need to create a strategy with the two of us so that we not only maximize but optimize what we're doing in this plan that's going to last 30 years.
Yeah, you really don't have a plan if one spouse is just not a part of it, right? Or doesn't know what's going on.
Fair enough.
And it's great to say, well, we have this bucket of assets and each spouse has a 401k and they've been saving and maybe doing Roth conversions. But if there's not an overall strategic plan that brings those things together, it's really not a plan. It is just operating in a silo. And at the end of the day, that is what's going to cause not only marital issues, right, financial issues in the household, but it's also going to start to cause issues for the retirement. And can we actually meet our retirement goals and do it in a low stress way, or hopefully a no stress way? But that all has to come together. And as Mark mentioned, we have folks come in where one spouse leads the charge when it comes to finances. And that's okay. But that doesn't mean that the other spouse can just be completely in la-la land and not know what's going on, right? We really do have to be working together. A perfect example, I lead the financial charge in my household. Mark leads the financial charge in his household. But my wife absolutely knows what's going on, right? And she's a part of it. And that's a key behind this, is that we are working together. It's okay to have somebody that takes the lead, but we need to be working together so everybody's working towards a collective goal.
So how do we do that? It is coming together to put together a financial plan. Once you take this risk quiz, then you're going to want to call to 844-342-7142 to put together a complimentary written financial plan. Maybe that both of you need to come in to say, can we get a second opinion? Because I'm not even sure where we stand right now. For a lot of you, you think that retirement's a finish line, and it's not. It may just be the beginning of a journey that's going to last another 30 years that is going to have to be adjusted through time, through a retirement plan that isn't just yours, isn't just your partner's. It is one that is working together so that we can optimize it. Let's do it together, 844-342-7142. It's worth a complimentary second opinion, isn't it? Make the call. Be right back.
When markets are up, risk feels great. When they're down, it feels terrifying. That's why understanding your risk tolerance before the next swing is so important. Our risk quiz is a quick, easy way to find out if your portfolio truly fits your comfort level and retirement goals. Most people have no idea how much risk they're actually taking until it's too late. Are you more conservative than your portfolio? Or taking on too little risk to grow your savings? The quiz walks you through a few simple questions and gives you a risk score you can compare with your current investments. It's one of the smartest steps you can take to bring clarity and confidence to your retirement strategy. Scan the QR code on the screen or visit efmriskquiz.com and take the free risk quiz today.
You've got quite an extensive resume. Wow, so many years of management. Bet that was fun. So this job requires basic knowledge of the social media and video platforms, content creation, and SEO. How proficient are you in those areas?
Going back to work after retiring is not ideal. Plan your retirement right. Call now for your own complimentary portfolio review and tax analysis.
Hey, glad you're with us on Elevate Your Wealth. Brad Johansson along with Mark and Casey. We talked a little bit about women and why there is a difference moving forward. Well, what is the difference now in the marketplace where you need to adjust your retirement? Well, we probably have some signs that your plan needs an adjustment because this is no longer a checkers game, which I'm assuming is why Mark has added a chessboard onto our set. I'm assuming that you have intention with this to teach us, my friend. Why do we have a chessboard on the set?
I do, because I think we'd all agree that sometimes planning gets made in a silo. A decision is made and we don't really make adjustments over time like we know that we need to. And I just love a chessboard because I think if you're going to learn chess, you have to learn chess, not chess, but you have to learn how each piece is going to move, right? We know the castle, he moves up and he moves across. What about the L shape that our knight moves? He can jump pieces where the other pieces, except for the queen, can't do that. We've got a bishop. He's going to go diagonally. But the point of all of this is, in our game is, are you playing, checkers in your retirement, or are you playing chess? Because when it comes to true retirement planning, you've got to move certain pieces at certain times to accomplish certain goals. And I love the chess analogy because if you're just playing checkers, I think we all would agree, how much easier is checkers versus chess? I'm going to ask you that, Brad. Is chess easier or checkers?
My brain is probably at the checkers state more than it is the chess state. Yeah.
And I love chess. Played a little bit in school and love playing chess once in a while now. I don't get the chance to play it as much. But I think if our viewers are thinking about a chessboard and how chess is played, you need to be looking at this because this is what you need to use, this type of strategy, to play and be successful in retirement with all the decisions that are going to come because of Medicare, Social Security. What do I do when it comes to legacy and tax planning, right? What am I going to do to make sure my income? And we could liken each one of those subjects to a different chess piece that's going to be moved or used at a different time. So I think chess is a perfect analogy to deal with and these plans are going to have to be adjusted. And we know the more you play, pieces get taken off the board, right, at certain times, and we want to be the guy that doesn't have to turn his king over, which means you've lost the game, right? You want to be the one that's going to be triumphant at the end.
I said this sending us to break this last time, that a lot of people think that there is a finish line. And when you talk about a chessboard, the way it is right now, Casey, if you control the middle of the board, you then control the game to try and create an ending. And you're thinking 3 or 4 moves ahead. I think now to some of the big box firms, which we say a lot, that people are being put into the same things all the time. And maybe if we equate this to a chessboard, is that what you guys are doing now in the specialization of helping people retire is that you now have all the pieces at your disposal to use. There are more tools that you are able to use as an independent advisor, specializing in the distribution phase to control the middle of the board so that you get to the end 30 years later the way you want to.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Is there are more tools, right? In chess versus checkers, it's a perfect illustration. In checkers, it's much simpler. There can be strategy, but it is much simpler. With chess, you play the right tool at the right time. And retirement planning is the same way. It's very different than when we're building and saving for retirement, which is pretty single-faceted, right? We need to invest money. We need that money to grow so that we have a bigger bucket in the future, and then we can have some level of tax planning associated. But when we start talking about retirement, suddenly it's how much can I take out and make sure that it lasts? How do I make sure that I don't get annihilated on taxes? When do I start my Social Security? What do I choose for Medicare? What do I do for long-term care? What do I do for estate planning? All of these things come together, and that's what makes it more like a chess analogy where we have different tools to solve each of those individual concerns. But if you use the wrong piece at the wrong time, you're going to be disappointed with how it works. And so the key is to play each piece to its strength the best way that we can, and that's what allows us to control the middle of the board, control the narrative, and puts you as the retiree in the driver's seat to make sure that you can have the retirement that you want.
So we have the risk quiz up that you can scan. You can scan the QR code that is there. Why? Because a lot of times we simply don't know what level of risk we are actually sitting on approaching into retirement because we have not put together a plan. I want you to scan the code to be able to do this while we're doing this and talking about the tools that we have. In understanding this game, and I put that lightly as this is a game, this is our lives. This is everything that you have. This is what you've put together. And for a lot of us, we feel like we're in the checkers game because we haven't played it very well. We didn't accumulate the way we should. I don't have a whole lot of pieces. King me. I want to be able to move it all over the place, but I can't get to the end because I haven't developed all of this. In adjusting this, and as we know, to become a grand master at this game, you have to do it over and over and over again. How much is perspective of what you're doing with your clients, with all the tools that you have to say, look, we've done this before, and I understand where you are, and you're not like anybody else, but because we have all the tools at our disposal, we can now make this a winning game for you.
Yeah, and I think that I want to go back to the board for just a second. That's why the queen in this game, it's not the king, the queen is the most important piece. She can move any direction, move and take all the other pieces fairly easily if she has a clear path. If you go to, as you were saying, and she's in the center of the board, and we're not paying attention, and there's a little pawn over here, and she's not looking, that pawn's going to take that queen, right? And you just lost your most powerful piece. So I like this to be thought of, because if you don't do things in the right order and at the right time, like Casey mentioned, it can be a very negative outcome, right? I know one thing, if you lose your queen toward the beginning of your retirement, and we could liken that maybe to a wrong Social Security decision, because you heard you should go at 62, but you didn't realize it was going to cost you 25 or 30% of your money. That's just like the queen. She's now dead, right? She's off the board, and you can't fix that. Now, when it comes to decision with Social Security, you do have a 12-month window if you've made a mistake, right? It can be fixed, and we can file a 521 form and go back as if it didn't happen. But once we get past a year, those decisions, they're like in concrete. You can't go back and fix them. And that's why certain decisions you make on a chessboard or a move when it comes to retirement planning, it can really not work in your favor if you're not careful and you don't study like you said.
Which is why you need an expert to be able to do it. Let's put that expert together for you. If you've taken the quiz, then you want to make the call to 844-342-7142. Let's make this a winning game for you because it's going to last, and it could be a long, protracted game that you want to win. You play to win the game. Let's do it for you. 844-342-7142. We'll be right back.
When markets are up, risk feels great. When they're down, it feels terrifying. That's why understanding your risk tolerance before the next swing is so important. Our risk quiz is a quick, easy way to find out if your portfolio truly fits your comfort level and retirement goals. Most people have no idea how much risk they're actually taking until it's too late. Are you more conservative than your portfolio, or taking on too little risk to grow your savings? The quiz walks you through a few simple questions and gives you a risk score you can compare with your current investments. It's one of the smartest steps you can take to bring clarity and confidence to your retirement strategy. Scan the QR code on the screen or visit efmriskquiz.com and take the free risk quiz today.
Know the market is going to get worse from here. This is the biggest monthly decline in 10 years. People's 401ks took.
Well, my investments are tanking. My retirement isn't going as planned. I can't believe I let my kid talk me into buying crypto. I mean, what is that anyway?
This was the fourth worst contraction in history.
So how are you two doing?
Your financial future doesn't have to be uncertain. Call now for your own complimentary portfolio review and written financial plan.
So glad you're with us on Elevate Your Wealth. Brad Johansson, along with Mark Stimpson, Casey Elkis, and we're dealing with your retirement plan in a lot of different ways, right? Mm-hmm. Medicare becomes one of those. We always talk about taxes. How do we get to the Medicare bump? This is part of the chess game in moving it through. How do we start playing the game with Medicare where we go, you know what, I'm not going to be sick. I've got a great gene line. I'm not dealing with it. I hit the Medicare. I don't have to worry about long-term care. Why is this significant for us to pre-plan for as we start moving into 65?
Well, that Medicare piece is, for a lot of people, they think it's a very simple process, right? And Part A is simple, but when we start to look at other parts of Medicare, what is Part B going to cost? What do I choose for Part C? What does Part D look like? There's 4 parts overall, and if we choose Med Advantage, which is going to be a lower cost option typically in our area on a monthly basis, but then we want to choose to a Med Supplemental plan, we might have to go through underwriting. And each of those has a pro and con. Each of them has something that is more beneficial than the other, just like all the other tools in our tool belt, but it might not be the right thing for each individual. So that's where the conversation comes in to figure out what is the right tool in your individual circumstance. And depending on your goals in retirement, one of those things is going to suit you better. And the cost associated with Part B, we won't get into IRMA right now, but the cost associated with Part B has to do with your income from 2 years ago. So there is complications to this, and it requires a conversation to make sure that we make the right decisions, because sometimes they can't be undone.
Yeah, and I'll add to that. I personally have been on Medicare now for 4 years now, and so it does boil down to age, right? We know that you can't go on Medicare except under some special circumstances. We won't get into that, but until you're age 65, right? But if you're working for a business, let's say, you may get your Part A done at 65, but you don't necessarily have to go on Part B because you have what's known as credible coverage. So again, understanding, because we've had clients, they went ahead and signed up for A and B, and the premium this year is over $200 a month for just the Part B premium, depending on what your income is. It can be up more than that, as Casey mentioned, due to IRMA. But the point is, you need to know if you're working and you have credible coverage, you don't want to sign up for Part B, because then you're paying a premium when you still have coverage through your work, your employer, And it's double coverage, and you're paying an extra couple $100 a month, and it's never really going to be benefited. You might as well be throwing the money, flushing it down the drain, right? You don't want to do that. So there is a lot to understanding all the nuances that Medicare and Medicaid can throw at people, and without some knowledge and some understanding and some education on this, you can make some decisions. Casey mentioned, if you start with a Med Advantage plan and then you want to go to a Med Sup, that's great, but boy, if it's been over a year now, you may have to qualify to be underwritten, and you may not be able to do that now. So these decisions, you need to understand your choices when you make them up front at the first one.
And it's important that this is part of the overall retirement plan. For a lot of folks, this is going to seem like a very small piece off to the side that maybe doesn't have a big impact, but it is part of an overall retirement plan, because what we see a lot of times with folks that make a Medicare decision here and then an investing decision here, and I'm going to start my Social Security here.
Dominoes.
Yeah, it's a domino effect,
Yeah.
and now they're not in control, and our pieces are not working together. They're actually fighting each other. Or if you are using an advisor for each of those decisions, those advisors aren't communicating to each other, which means that now as you move into retirement, you're supposed to be the quarterback of your own plan and coordinate among 5 different advisors that all speak different languages that probably weren't languages you spoke while you were working. And so now you're tasked with this mountain that's impossible to climb, because you're just trying to learn all of these things all at once and then make them work together. And that is the point of a retirement plan, is to put it all together and make it work.
This is all within the book, right? I mean, you're working this. This is why you put this together. You always talk about it as a ripple effect, that all of these things start to work together.
Yeah.
They can get this copy for free?
Absolutely. Yep. BreakTheGlassBook.com. This book is written specifically for folks that want to be educated. It's written in a way that it can be understood without the jargon, without the terms that Wall Street uses, meant for folks that want to be educated just like yourself. That's why you're here watching the show. That's why you listen to the radio show or come to a retirement class at one of the colleges, is to be educated. Please take advantage of the book.
Scan the QR code. It's yours for free. We'll ship it out to you for free to help educate you on a retirement plan that is going to work, because yours matters. Make the call to 844-342-7142. 844-342-7142. It is your complimentary second opinion to put together a written financial plan to try and figure this whole weird, complicated chess game out, so that you can win in the end with a retirement that you want to last for decades, with experts who have the perspective to know how to do it. Make the call for yourself right now. Thanks for spending time with us. We'll probably see you on the radio. We'd love to see you in the office. Right back here next time on Elevate Your Wealth.